if you're new to Texas, people are shocked when they hear that there's 130 different billing companies. But yeah, you have to choose a plan. So month to month is what a lot of people will do, but month to month is so much higher, just like anything, right?
For those of you who don't live in Texas, but you're considering moving here, was unaware that there were service providers such as yourself that actually help with some of these utility costs, or just kind of like the stuff that people don't think about.
I know. I've lived in Texas over 20 years, and I did not know about it until I got into this industry, which was about 10 years ago. But yeah, 85% of Texas is deregulated, which is a whole lot of us because we're a huge state. And most people don't even know what deregulated energy is. And y'all just watched a video all about it. If you got through the whole 3 minutes, basically it's, your option to shop around for your electric plan. And so a non-monopoly, so to speak, on your power, on your electric. But yeah, Texas has this. They have had it for the last 20, 30 years. And it's a great way to be competitive.
I'm so glad we were kind of speaking offline, and you told me about this map that I'm going to pull up right now, so you can kind of, the folks back can have a visual of what we're talking about here. That's our thumbnail. You got a little sneak peek at the thumbnail, folks. But can you see that, Laura? Okay.
Yes, I can. So yeah, that colorful map. So the white is where you do not have an option. So me and Omar are here in Austin, so we're in that dot. That's kind of why we didn't really realize what deregulated power was, because we don't have an option in the city of Austin. Now, surrounding areas, there's little bubbles and stuff where you do, but and actually a couple houses in Austin, and that because you see Round Rock in that first blue corridor, and Round Rock is real close to Austin, as you know. But all of that colorful map, you have an option on who your electric provider is. You have Encore, and they're the ones that are maintaining that you have power, right? They're getting it to your house, but they do not control the billing at all. Neither does, CenterPoint or any of these. They just service you. So in essence, everybody here has to choose a billing company. And in Texas, I think we have right now, it's like over 130 different providers, Constellation, Reliant, PXU being like the big ones, Jexa, there's quite a few out there. And so our companies were brokers for the majority of them, and just really analyze the rate that you're getting into as a homeowner, because the public resource is not always ideal. There's a lot of tricks and trades that these companies like to get you into contracts where it's like, oh, we're going to offer you free weekends is like the most popular one. But, if you really look at the fine print, you're paying a lot more for when you do use power, and you can never turn off power. There's always, you got to have your lights on even during the day. And
there's no way around it unless you live in
the fridge has got to be on.
Unless you're in rural Texas and you're one of those people that want to be off the grid and you took the time to learn all that, then maybe. But I feel like with all this kind of information, you can try to do it yourself and figure it out, but it's for something like this, I would love to rather just talk to a person that knows this stuff and that can just guide me through it. Well,
and Omar, we're free, so there's no cost to the consumer at all. We're paid by the broker. Since we're a broker, we just, we've worked out great deals for these electric plans, and in turn, it's a compensation because we're, dealing with so many homeowners. We have rates that are comparable to be online, but it's really just a safety of like knowing that you're in a rate that's not crazy blue. We're just basically combing through it, making sure you're not going to be jacked and have high fees and stuff.
That's a big deal. I'm glad you mentioned it, that the cost of doing business, and it's free because you get paid through the brokers of these service providers. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Just like, because we also deal with internet, right? We're brokers for all the internet companies. It's a big business. And, just like you're not going to have to pay AT&T for calling in to set up your internet, you're not having to pay for us. Or just like you would call in to, I think one of your next questions is like, what can I do as a consumer? Well, the one thing is Power to Choose, right? Power to Choose is also owned by TXU and Reliant, or one of them. I can't remember which one. Don't quote me. But it's like the Google for how to shop. It's really the only public resource, and it's kind of like the Google algorithm. It always changes. You could put in your address today, or you can put in your address tomorrow, and a new plan is going to pop up every time, right? And so unless you're really knowledgeable about filtering through the details, the fine print, the things that only 13% of you consumers really click on and read that fine print. They just see, 5.9, click, that's what I want. And it's not 5.9 cents at all. So we just make sure.
So
I want to pay more for something that is a known, commodity. Everybody needs power, and we should all be really paying the same for it.
So in my research, I compiled a few of the most frequently.
Okay, will I experience an interruption of service if I switch? So if you are in one of those colorful areas, you are in a contract right now with you probably, who knows who your billing company is. A lot of people don't. I'm like, who's your billing company? They're like, I don't know. They just bill me. But if you are, then you're in a contract. So it's month to month, or it's on a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Now, depending whatever you set up when you moved in, is what you have. So the experience of interruption, there won't be. It'll just be new billing if you want to switch. But the first thing is to look at your bill. If you're considering to reshop, you want to look at your electric bill. And really, I have a link in this that we're going to put down at the bottom. If you're curious about what you pay and you're thinking you're in a month to month because you've just let it lag and you're paying too high, and I've lived there for a couple of years, you're probably in a month to month, and that really spikes it up. And so that's when you can get out of those contracts with no penalty. So that's the first step that you want to make is, will I get penalized? And usually it's around $200 to $300 for switching while under contract. But once you reshop that rate and get a new a billing company, you will not have any disruption. It'll all be through your distribution center. So whether it's Encore or Centerpoint, you will have, you'll never even know. They do it all on the back end, but you'll just have a better rate.
You said something interesting earlier where you're talking about contracts, and you either have a term or you're month to month when it comes to use, like utilities specifically. Can you speak a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so when you sign up for a new electric plan, so you buy a house in Dallas or in Round Rock, right? You're like, all right, I need to get electric. And you go and you're like, hold on, there's, if you're new to Texas, people are shocked when they hear that there's 130 different billing companies. But yeah, you have to choose a plan. So month to month is what, a lot of people will do, but month to month is so much higher, just like anything, right? 1 year, 2 year, 3 year is the most I've ever seen it. So it's not like you can lock in a rate for 10 years, that would be great when rates are low, but that's just not around. And so you'll choose your rate, and with that term plan, they're not going to turn off your power. You'll just go to default for month to month, and your rate will be high. And so that's what we see all the time is people call us and say, oh my God, all of a sudden my bill just spiked, and it's because they went month to month. And these retail electric providers are very, very
clever in their marketing.
They're discreet when your plan is about to be up. Now, not all of them, but it's typically a lot of people don't realize that they're going to go out of contract and you can reshop it, and that availability is there.
Does it work like when it comes, like when they're nearing the end of their contract, where they start getting like promotional marketing materials to like renew, and then they probably see like this very attractive number at first, and it's almost like a little bait and switch where you're like, okay, this is a no brainer, and then down the line you're like, wait a minute, what happened? Does that happen?
Well, they'll send you renewals. They want you to renew, right? But I always encourage people to reshop it, because with renewals, it's always negotiable too. So you can call your current electric provider and try to negotiate. Just the most important thing is if you're renegotiating your rate, you want to always make sure to look at the EFL. It's the most important document, and that basically itemizes their whole plan, and tells them exactly, okay, if you use X amount of power, your rate's going to be this. If you use this amount of power, it's this. And so it's just like the cheat sheet that nobody looks at. That's the thing I was mentioning that nobody clicks on.
I mean, I would think like you need context to understand like what's a good price and what is not.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where you come in, because this is your space. You're the subject matter expert. So you keep a pulse on like what these numbers look like and what's competitive.
Absolutely. And that it's a low variable, because it's hard to predict your energy, and especially in a new house, and not even a new house, just somewhere that you've lived forever. Your power's typically always going to be, fluctuating, especially if you have a pool, a second story, larger home. Now, once you get into the home, you kind of get, and that's where it's nice, because you can really shop your, because prices are always based on usage typically. So a low consumer of power is going to get, most likely we're going to get them a different company, a different rate based on a bigger house with, 2 floors, a pool, and so you're shopping the rates based on how much power you use. And so after being in the home, you do gauge, okay, I stay under 2,000 kilowatts per month typically, because every single plan is based on usage.
Right.
So, and we could even put up an EFL for or we'll put it in the link too, or if you want to edit this.
Or just reach out to Laura. I think reach out to Laura. That'd be the best. That'd be the best bet.
Okay, cool. Because and it's interesting to see like the visual of it all.
Oh, is it?
I mean, yeah, but it's also.
Well, what would I have to Google? EFL what?
I don't even know if it would. I mean, you could do like an example of an EFL electric plan.
What is that? What does that stand for? EFL.
Electricity facts label.
Okay.
It's like the nutrition label for your food. And so every, okay, here you go. So based on 500, that person would be paying 18 cents per kilowatt. If they use 1,000 so over 500 to 1,000, they're going to be at 12.49. And then if they use 1,001 to 2,000, it's going to be, I'm sorry, I was reading that backwards. Cut, edit.
I was actually following along. I was seeing that like the more you use, the less you pay.
The more you use. So if you're 2,000 kilowatts and above, you pay 13.72. You pay the best in that range from 1,999 to 1,000 kilowatts. You're paying that 12.9. You're getting the best deal. And then if you dip below that 1,000, you're paying the 18. So the highest, the premium and stuff. So, and they typically, you'll see that range where it's that variable amount. Sometimes though you see 26 cents. Sometimes you see these high fluctuations, and that's when those plans get really, really scary.
The next question we have is, will switching to a competitive energy supplier change my billing?
So this question is, yes. I mean, really, if you're going to be switching, it's going to affect your billing. So because it's all about the rates. It's all about how much you're going to be paying for that electric. with what you pay right now, if you are in that deregulated zone, you can look on your bill and it'll tell you your average price per kilowatt. Now, this is the paper bill, or you can go online, and it's usually you have to scroll through like way at the bottom, and it's like a little sentence, but it'll say your average price per kilowatt that you paid this month is 12.6. And so if you look on, or if you're curious about how much you're paying and you think it's too much, if it's over, I mean, right now we're about at like 12 cents is a good electric rate, and this is 2024. And I mean, some people are paying less because they had better rates. I mean, we were setting up people for like 8 cents like 2 years ago. So those people are about that we set up for those 3-year contracts are about to be hit. Rates have spiked, just like obviously with everything, inflation and the rest of the world. So 12 and a half, yeah, it's about average. So if you're paying more than that, definitely fill out the link and we'll reach out and see if we can help you lower your bills.
Is where do I go to find lower energy rates?
Reach out to us. You can always do your own due diligence through, the Power to Choose, the one resource that the consumers have to shop your electric rates. It's just, we want to make sure to go through those fine prints. But if you're, one of those people where it's like, just here, professional, I want to hand it on over to you. And I mean, like I said, we're free. There's no, we're paid by those retail electric providers as brokers. And so we're finding competitive rates, and we've got rates that are even better than off, kind of off market, just like real estate, off market of the Power to Choose rates, or the ones that you get online.
Someone like
people,
Laura.
yeah, you want to be informed, but it's also, these companies are, it's literally the difference is Texaco and Exxon, and it's all companies. So I hear people all the time say, I don't want to switch. I really like their app, or they give back. No, it's about your rate and how much are you paying for electric, because I've set up, little old ladies that were paying 25 cents for power, when the going rate was 8 cents. And I'm like, that's not fair, and she thought she was in this great plan, and she just didn't know any better that it was, her bills were $300-400. Just thought that was average, and to be able to save people money is our why. And also there's not a lot of public consumer knowledge about this whole industry in the deregulated world. It's to break up the monopoly, but yet there's still very much a monopoly. Reliant and you own most of the filter of underneath all of them. So that it's a wild, wild west, really. Like when I first found out about this, I'm like, this is.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I do credit repair with another gentleman, and I kind of get the same kind of vibes and energy from this. Like they kind of prey on the consumer just being uneducated and unaware that you can shop the rate, yeah. And there's always room for negotiation.
And who looks at the fine print? The majority of the population does not, and they trust these companies are doing them well. And no, it's bottom line, big pocketbooks, and it's not fair to the consumer.
So let me ask you, because it seems like you can provide these services in all throughout the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And you have deep local knowledge here in the Austin area.
Yes.
Awesome.
Central Texas.
I know here in Austin, we're growing like crazy, and we're having so many of these emerging markets, like on the outskirts of Austin city limits, like Elgin, Texas, or Gerald, Texas. Mm-hmm. What do you think about some of those places and how that's going to kind of work when it comes to, your electricity?
Well, really, I mean, a lot of those areas are regulated. But, I mean, when you're moving to a new state, we don't just help with power. So Home Connect Pathway helps with your full utility list, right? And so much more. So your water and your gas and your internet. I mean, everybody needs internet. And that's another thing that's it's not deregulated, but you have options. There's never just one line, or very rarely just one line of internet to your house. So, going off of whoever the seller had might not be your best interest, or just transferring. A lot of times people are like, I'm just going to transfer my internet, and they're paying, we're like, how much are you paying? And it's like $120. So that's another thing if you need help reshopping. We're brokers for all internet, not all, but the majority of the internet companies that service. So it's just that we're a helpful, handheld kind of situation where it's like, all right, here's all your things that you need to get done, and we facilitate setting up most of them, because there's always, I think we had one of your buyers in Elgin have a weird water department that there's because I think in Elgin there's 6 different water departments that service water. So it's like the buyer is like, who do I use? So we just, help and guide that. We also do movers and pest control and just kind of a referral network.
Yeah.
Here to do.
It sounds like you have a very nice vendor list of everybody that you could think of that, fall under your roof. If you are living here in Texas already, then now would be a good time. Anytime would be a good time to reach out to Laura, right? But if people are moving, when would that be a good time to reach out to you where it would make sense? Yeah,
so ideally, we would love to get that introduction when you're moving, about right after your option period is through and you kind of know you're moving forward, and you might have to be waiting on the appraisal, but we can at least get your information and do the research on who your providers are, what speeds are available for your internet, current promotions, all of that stuff. And also it's peace of mind when you're a buyer and going through all of that, just to know. And it's super handy dandy. I mean, you basically have a 5-minute conversation. Now it's not with me, it's someone with my team. And they'll go through what your internet needs are, your electric needs are, or not needs, but, habits and stuff. How many people living in the home? Do you like it freezing? Are you, that kind of thing. And then we'll build you a little package. It's almost like an Amazon cart, and that gets sent to your phone, and you set up all of your utilities kind of on your mobile device or computer, not having to share personal contact with any of us. So it's just really easy, safe, and it's all done, and you have the best rates, and just that you've been informed of all the providers.
I feel like every couple of years, I even do this for my own auto insurance. I'll hit them up to be like, hey, do I qualify for any more discounts?
For the deregulated energy part, absolutely. I mean, we always tell people, because we know what term we're locking them into, right? We're setting them up. So we will send them a reminder to, hey, either reshop with us, reshop with your provider, but hey, your bill's about to go, because it just automatically falls to a month-to-month. And when you sign up for that contract, you'll know exactly what your month-to-month is, what your renewal rate is. And so a lot of times if you don't renew and it goes to that automatic renewal, boop, what do? They spike up your rate.
Because now it's month to month. So there's no service interruption, but it does cost.
No, they're not going to turn off your power unless you don't pay. But they'll just roll you into a new contract, because you have to be in a contract. You can't get service and get billing from Encore directly or Centerpoint or any of those providers.
The quickest and probably easiest way to get in touch with you, would that be for people to call you first, or just to fill out that form and then you will reach out to that person? How does that work?
So yes, if you're interested in reshopping your rates, the best way to do it is to do the form, and then we'll reach out to you if there's opportunity to rates, because we kind of ask you what your current rate is, what your now, and if you don't know and you're like, help, how do I look at my bill? We have people do that all the time. One of our consultants will walk you through, okay, let's open your bill. Now let's go through and figure out what you're paying with you. And then we love working with hey, how can we lower your internet bill? Let's look at cable, nixing cable and going streaming options, just ways to lower those bills, because every internet company, those rates slowly go up. Not slowly. Sometimes they go fast. But we kind of know the tricks and the trades of how to get them to be lowered, even when you're not moving and stuff. So.
And we're going to have 2 different forms in the description. One's going to be, can you tell us the difference between the two?
So one will be if you're buying a new house and you're about to move in and you have to set up all of your utilities brand new or transfer and stuff, we'll look at, there's a form for that. And then there's also the form where if you're not moving and you just want to, it's mainly internet, electric, and then we say in there, like, we have every security platform and great deals with a lot of security people. So even that, if you want to reshop that.
You're saying security, like a security home system?
Security. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
ADT, Vivint, on it. We have about 6 providers that we work with. Same deal. Broker through them all. Yeah. They're all. I mean, security is one of those things where, it's not for everybody, right? Not everybody wants it. It's great on insurance. But some people even have to have it. Did you know that in Texas? If you are over a certain price point in your home has to be have a security system. So some people don't have any choice. They're like, what? I have to have a security system? I don't want that. And it's like, well, you're going to have to choose another insurance provider.
I mean, I'm so glad we got reconnected so I can understand a little bit more about what you do, because in a world that we're living in today, where everything is getting more expensive, the cost of living is going up, you have a service that can help save people money on a variety of things, and I love that, we actually get to talk to a person, and it's not so much technology in the way, because that, I think it's great. But at the end of the day, you want to talk to a person to help guide you a little bit when it comes to these kind of things.
Absolutely. And I did this job. I was the consultant where I talked to the consumers, and I missed that, but now on different roles. But all of our whole team is, just like, me and Lisa, Lisa Holzer is the owner of Home Connect Pathway, and she's the one that trained me to be she was my sales consultant who trained me, and she's just amazing and cares so deeply about, helping people, and her, why of building this business is just so incredible. And so every consultant is like drilled that into them, and we're so particular about who's handling our clients. We're all here in the U.S. of A, and most of us, honestly, are single moms that are just driven and, love helping people. That's kind of been our platform.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for taking the time to kind of talk us through this a little bit. And I definitely learned a lot. And I'm always trying to learn as much as I can to save my clients money, or just, bring some awareness and knowledge, because again, this is something that doesn't get talked about enough.
Lisa will talk to anybody and everybody. She's has hour-long conversations with, she was helping someone new that was moving here the other day with the DPS. I was like, Lisa. But if they needed help, we're gonna help them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Laura. And
thank you, Omar, for having me.
And of course.
If you're moving to Austin, contact Omar. He'll find you a good house.
Yeah, and just know that Laura, I consider her a friend and someone a part of my team, because when it comes to what we just talked about, she's going to be my go-to person with Home Connect.